Hello friends, welcome to my channel Nihira Techiees. This is a part 2 video of Angular 18 full course. So first of all I am saying thanks everybody for supporting my part 1 video, and if you are a new user from this part 2, I am recommending to watch the part 1 because in this part 1 I have covered the basic concept of Angular with some proper example. And this part 2 also going to be really interesting. I will include the new concept such as Angular signals, RxJS with subject and operators with some proper examples, then NgRx full concept with gradations, and the new concepts such as deferable view, control flow templates, ng content, and zoneless change detection, server-side rendering. And additionally, we can see what are the ways we can improve our application performance by maintaining some best coding practices. Okay. So finally, we can do the deployment with the proper environment-based build. Okay. So we can start one by one. The first topic is transferring data between different components. So we have a different types of option. Okay, transferring the data. So the first scenario is transferring data from parent to child. For implementing this, we have a input option. Similarly, transferring data from child to parent, we can use the output option. And the final one is unrelated components. So the real-time scenario is we can consider the username. Okay, so once we logged in, we will get the username. But at the same time, we need to transfer those information to several components, but it don't have any relation. Okay. For doing this implementation, we have several options: services and services with the signals, RxJS subject, finally NgRx. So we can go one by one. First, let me start from this input option. Okay. So again, we can use the same home component, and then here let me create one new component, ng generate component, and the component name is child. Okay, the component is created. Next we can take this selector child component. So this child component I am going to use in our parent component. Okay, so since we are using this child component, then make sure we have to import it, child component. Okay, this bottom we can see this child component. So now the idea is we are transferring data from our home component to the child component. Okay, so the first thing is let me include one new text box in our home component. So here we can see this child component, and before that let me include one input, and let me including two-way binding. So the syntax we can see already we used. Okay, the same only ng model. And then we have to specify the variable. I'm just including input data. Make sure we have to define this variable, providing default value is empty. Okay, next I'm transferring this input data in our child component. So the syntax is like this. Okay, and providing the parameter name, maybe we can give some valid names. Okay, so instead of the input data I'm saying first name. Okay, and similarly in this parameter point of view, so this is the parameter name, and we are passing values from this variable. Okay, so the next thing is we need to handle this input from our child component. So in our child component I am using this input directive, and this input directive also belongs to the Angular core, and this is actually a parameter name. Okay, and the data type, so we can use the string. So if you don't know the data type, then we can mention as the any. So now the error got resolved. So the next thing is we can bind this value in the UI. So in this UI side I am just removing this child works, the text. So instead of that I am including one h2 tag. I am using interpolation See this text box section available from our home component and this welcome from the child component. Now, so whatever value I am typing in the parent component, it is automatically reflected, or so in other words, automatically transferred to our child component. Here, okay. So the current scenario, I just passed only one value, okay. Similarly, if I want to pass more than one value, that also we can do. So in this scenario, in our child component side, I am including one input variable. So this time we can say last name, okay. And in our HTML side, we can use some space, some hyphen. So currently, if you are seeing there is no text, this hyphen only coming. And even though if you are typing something, so this one is the first name only, okay. So in this last name, we can pass from our parent component. Again, in this parent component side, I am just declaring one more variable. Similarly, I am passing the next variable. Okay, we are getting the error. Let me confirm from our child component once again. Okay, there is a spelling mistake. Yeah, see, now the issue got resolved. Okay, okay, I forgot to include one more text box. So I'm just typing Nihira, and in this second one, Techiees. Oh, not bad. Oh, it is not transferred. Okay, again here also the spelling mistake. Okay, anyway, let me try once again. Nihira and okay, see now we have transferred two parameters. So using this concept, we can pass a number of parameters and the data type also. In our example, we just used the string only. So similarly, if you want to transfer some object or array, that also we can do. So anyway, let me try to pass one object also. So in our home component, we had one object. Okay. So the same object we can pass. Since it is the static value, we can directly pass, no issues. And this name we have to define as a parameter in our child component. So since it is the object, we can use the JSON pipe, okay. Otherwise we cannot see the exact value. Okay, since we are using the JSON pipe, then we have to import the common model. And see, yeah, this object also we just transferred. So we can move on the next subtopic, transferring data from child component to parent component. For doing this one, we can use this output directive. Let me go back to my component. So in our child component, let me declare one variable using this output directive. Using this output directive and the event emitter, we can transfer the data from child to parent, okay. So this is my variable name, and we can use the event emitter, and I'm transferring one string variable only, providing the data type also. Next, in our child component HTML side, adding one input control. The identifier I just used name, okay. And then including one button. and in this button let me bind one click event. So in this scenario we are not going to define any function. We can use this output directory variable, okay, and included it here. From this we can use the emit function and transferring this value, okay. Next, in our parent component, okay, so here only we are calling our child component, okay. So in this area we have to bind one event, okay. So the event name, we need to use whatever thing we have defined in our child component as a output decorator, data updater, okay. And internally we have to define one function. So anyway we have our update title, so let me use the same, okay. And it is having one parameter. This current scenario we will get only the input string, so let me make some alteration in our update title functionality. So we can make this into update title 1, and it should be string only. String. So whatever value is coming, I am just assigning to this variable, okay. And in the binding time also I just changed the function, okay. So here I am just typing Angular class. So initially we can see our title is Angular 18 tutorial. Once I clicked this transferred button, see, so the text got changed. And if I'm including some more values, again once I clicked this transfer, see, it is reflected here. So this is the way we can transfer the data from our child component to parent component using the output decorator. So now we have completed this output directive. And the third one is transferring data between unrelated components. So before that we have to cover one more option, that is view child. So using this view child also, mostly we will transfer data from parent to child. So similarly, if need to get some response from our child to parent component, that also we can achieve. For explaining this concept, in our home component, let me declare one variable using the view child. Again, this one also belongs to the Angular core. Here we can include our child component. Okay. Next, in our child component, I'm having one array variable, zone array. I included two datas, and we can bind in our HTML side, and I'm using this control flow template. Item of and using the interpolation syntax, and just included like this, okay. We can see the response from our child component. Next, in the TS side, including one function, update fruits. So from this function, it's having one parameter, fruit name, and data type is string. Fruit name. So next, in our parent component, So our parent component is home component only. I am including one more div section, okay, and added one input control. The placeholder is fruit name, and identifier is we can use fruit. Next, adding one button, and here binding one event. The event is click event, and the function is add fruit. Okay, and we need to pass the parameter fruit.value. So in this function also I am including the parameter fruit. Okay, still we are in the parent component. Once I click to the button, it will trigger this function. Then I will get new fruit name as the parameter. Okay, so the idea is make sure I have to transfer this value to our child component, and it should be included in our list section. Okay, so from this function we can access our child component function underscore child. See, we are accessing this child, and see, so now we are able to access all the functions and variable declared in our child component. Okay, for my side, let me take this update fruit. So now I'm entering Goa. Once I click the update, see, it's got reflected here. So similarly, grapes, see, it is transferred. So in this way, we can transfer the data from our parent component to child component using this view child option. Similarly, if you want to get the response, so that also we can do. I'm just making one small change in our child component side. Once it is added, I'm returning one value. Okay, data added, that's it. So next in our parent component side, let response. So whatever response we are getting, I'm just including in this console. Okay, let me open the console. So in the initial load we are getting some error. This is actually from the API side. So our token has been expired. Okay, that's what we are getting this error. So anyway, I'm just clearing. So now I'm transferring one value, Kova. Once I click the update, it's reflected here. Similarly, we got our response in our parent component as data added. Okay. And finally, transferring data between unrelated components. This is actually really interesting. So as I mentioned, we have several options. So I'm planning to cover all are the individual topics. Okay. So anyway, services already we have seen. So I'm just moving on this signals topic. Angular signals. This is one of the state management option available from Angular 16. The definition says Angular signals wrap around your values and then notifies to the user if there is any changes. The idea is very simple. So we can have one signal variable that we can use globally. That means we can consume the signal's value in the different components. If there is any changes in this signal, and it will be reflected in all the components. Okay. For modifying the signal values, we have options set, update, and mutate. So if you're looking for the difference, so if you're using this set keyword, it will completely replacing the value. Okay. And similarly for this update, it will modify the values. So the scenario is you have one array, it have three objects. Okay. So if you are trying to modify one of the object, then we can use this update option and then mutate. So using this mutate, we can include a new object. So in the example I mentioned, we have three records in the array. So if we want to include one more record as the fourth, then we can use this mutate option. Okay. And also it is providing two input functions and conversion methods. The first one is computed. So the computed function, it will be executed if there is any changes in this signal. It will do some calculation. So we can write our logics like a sum or whatever calculation related things we can include there. So finally it will return one value in the format of signals. Okay. And then fx. Fx are the special kind of function. This will be executed any changes in these signals. Okay. So the real-time scenario is, so based on one of the signal variable value change, if you need to execute some different actions, then we can use this effect function. And finally the conversion. So for the conversion purpose, we have two functions. Okay. The first one is to signal. So using this to signal, we can convert observable to signals. And the next function is to observable. Using this function we can convert signals into observable. So this observable, so as of now we not discussed. So let me give some overview. Actually this observable belongs to the RxJS. So this observable also almost similar to our signals only. It can hold some values. So if you need to access this observable, make sure we need to subscribe this one. Okay. So without subscribing the observable, we cannot get the value holded in our observable variable. And then if you are subscribed this observable in more than one component, and if there is any changes in this observable variable, it will be reflected in all of the subscribed area. Okay, that is a concept. And in the real-time use case, already we are consuming the external services, right, using the HTTP client. So that time we will get our response in this observable format only. So that's why we are subscribing in our component. So if you need it, let me show you. If you checked in our product component, in the initial load we are consuming all the products, right? So this is our service method, getAll. Okay. So basically it will return values in the observable format only. So that's why we are just subscribing and we are accessing the exact value available in the observable. Okay. So we have two functions, right? The reason is, since you are using signal as the state management option, so once we got our observable response, make sure we need to assign into the signal variable, right? That time we can convert this observable value into signal. So similarly, we will have some use cases for converting the signals into observable. So that time we can use this to observable option. So anyway, let me explain from the code, then you will get more idea. For doing this explanation, let me take this about component, okay? And here we can do one counter example, okay? Then let me create one new component. One is counter button, and we can create one more component, counter display. So now our components are ready. So the next thing is I am going to use these two components in our about component, okay? So let me import both of the components, counter button and counter display. Okay. Next we can take the selectors. Okay. Similarly adding the next component, counter display. Now this is fine. So we can see the two set of text. It's from the different components. Okay. So next we can define our signals. For defining our signals, actually we can define from our component itself, and also we can declare in the services. The best practice always we can keep in the services. Okay. And here we can use these master services. Okay. So in this top, I am declaring one variable, counter value. And since it is a signal variable, then we have to use this keyword signal, and the signal also belongs to the Angular/core only. So in this top you can see it's imported, and then we have to provide the value. So initially I just provided 0. Okay. So since you know the data type, we can directly use it here. Okay, this integer means here it is number, that's it. Okay, so currently I just declared one number variable. Using the signal option, we can use any data type like a array or object, so we can use that. So now let me save this one, and then let me go back to our component counter display. So here display value, the data type is any, and then injecting our services, master service, and then implementing ng hook. Here we can assign the values into our display value. That's it. Okay, now the signal value is assigned here. So the next thing is we have to bind this value in our UI. So normally we can just use the interpolation. The same thing we can use for the signals also. But there is one difference was there. Okay, let me explain here. See, it's showing signal 0. Okay, but in our case it's really needed this 0 only. So what we supposed to do, we have to use like this. For accessing any signal variable, we need to use this syntax. See now? So we can say counter value is 0. So similarly, what we can do, we can make this display value as the number, or we can directly set the value as 0. Then also it will defaultly considering as the number. See now, we are seeing this error. The reason is this counter values data type is number, but it is the signal number, and the display value is normal number. For doing the conversion, then we have to use this syntax. That's it. Okay. So now we will get the number data type. The value is assigned here. So now for the display purpose, we can remove this section. Okay. So this is fine. So the next thing is in our counter button component, we can include 3 buttons. Okay. So since I'm planning to use the material UV button, so including matte button model. Button, so the first one is text plus. Reset. So we have 3 buttons. Maybe we can include some spaces and adding this CSS. See now, it's somewhat fine, and this component section also. I'm not mainly focused on the designing steps. Okay. Okay, now this is fine. So the next thing is when I'm clicking this plus button, make sure I need to increase the value. Similarly, if I'm clicking minus, I need to reduce the values. And clicking this reset, I need to make sure give some default value. That is a plan. But both are in the different components. Okay. So let me start the implementation. So in our counter button side, we can have the constructor. Obviously, we need to access our services. So let me inject the services also, and then adding one function. First function is increment, and the second function is decrement, and the third one is reset. Okay, and we can bind all those functions in the UI side. Okay, so now this is fine. The functions also included. So now we can modify the signal values. So this dot service counter value and a function using update, taking the previous value, we are adding +1. So now if I'm clicking this plus button, but the expected thing is it's supposed to change, but it is not changed. Okay, the reason is we are taking the signal variable into this one of the variable, then only we are binding. So in case if I am directly doing this, so, okay, it's saying service is the private variable, then we can make this into a public. So, so now if I'm clicking, so it is reflected automatically. Okay, so the next one is decrement. So we are reducing into -1. And finally reset. So that means we are completely replacing. Then using the set option, we can directly give the value 0. Okay, and look like we binded all those functions. Now if you tried, plus is working and minus also working. So once I click the reset, it is completely changed into 0. So now if you don't want these service variables directly, but we should capture whenever the data is changed. Okay, so in this scenario, what we supposed to use the effect option. So let me tell you, and the syntax should be like this. Okay, now see. So even though if I'm commanded this code also, it will work. Okay, this implementation also need to run. Okay, so currently we just covered this set update and then this effect. So next we can do this computed and also this mutate option. For doing this one, let me declare one more signal variable in our service side. So the name we can give players, and data type is string array. So defaultly I just provide session. Okay, so now I am trying to access this in our counter display side. So here I'm going to have one list and then including the for loop service dot and our players. So the syntax should be like this, and then track item, solve the syntax, and then generating the list. So in this list I am using the interpolation syntax. That's it. So now if I'm checking in this UI, unrecognized block at, okay, it should be at for. Okay, now see we are able to see one of the record. Okay, and in our button side I'm going to have one more button, add user. So similarly having one input variable name, name.value, and then let me define this function here, and then name data type is string. Okay, and let me make one more change in our service side. Okay, it's not just a string array. I'm trying to give one object instead of the string array. Name session. It should be like this. Now if you check, it's showing us the object. So what I'm trying to do, just making this into id and then one hyphen. Next we are putting name. Okay, one session, that's it. And in this button side we can say add user. The color I changed into primary, and from here I'm going to use the mutate option only. So we can take the previous value. Okay, look like mutate is deprecated in Angular 18. Okay, so we can achieve the same functionality using this update also. So we are taking the previous values. So id, let me provide the default value is 2. Similarly for this name, we can give whatever value we are getting as the parameter. Okay, so again this id also we can calculate. Then we can use this id. See this id, it is not changed. Okay, so since it is the observable, right, so we need to use the syntax like this. So now if I'm trying, see now it is changed. Okay, so instead of doing like this, we have another option, that is our computed method. So what I'm going to do, let me declare one more signal variable. Now it is in our component side. Okay, total players. For this one I am using this computed function. This one also belongs to our Angular core, and then writing the callback function, this dot services length. So now we will get our response also in the signal format. So we can bind it here. We have players. So since it is the signals, so we have one player or players. So if I'm adding one more record, see we have two players, it's automatically calculated. So in case if you mentioned this is the normal variable, so the value won't be reflected for every time since we are not included for any of the event. Okay, so now in this scenario we used this is the computed function, and this, so then it will be automatically become as the signal variable. So that's why whenever a change happened in this signal variable, it's automatically reflected in our UI side. That's it. Okay. Finally, this conversions to signals and observable. Maybe that also we can just try. So what I'm going to do, let me declare one variable, total player. So this is actually observable variable, okay? So currently we have this signal. I'm just converting this into true observable and then passing this total players here, okay? So similarly, now this is the observable only, right? So I'm just trying to convert this into signal once again. So the input I am just passing this. So now we can bind both in our UI side. So the same way we can use both our interpolation. So first we can take this observable item and then this signal count. So currently if you check the output, so the first one we are getting this object because this is the observable, and the second one is it is saying computed and the undefined value. So now first we can work for this observable area, okay? So if you want to access any of the observable variable, make sure we have to subscribe. Otherwise, from the HTML side, we have to use the asynchronous pipe. Okay, we are getting this error. Then we have to use the common model. See, this value is fine. The next thing is regarding the signals, right? So for these signals, we need to use this syntax. We got the same value. So the idea is very simple. So initially we had one signal variable, then we converted into observable. Again we converted this observable into signal. Okay. So now we can move on to the next topic, control flow templates. So in Angular templates, control flow refers to the ability to control, render HTML elements or apply logics based on certain conditions. Angular provides several directives and techniques to control the flow of content within templates. So we have this set if, for and switch. So this for we have used many times. Then if, so we can directly use if, and also we can use else and then else if. That all scenarios we can use. So let me use one small example. Okay, having one more. First I'm checking if this is 0, no uses. Okay, and then else. In this else also we need to use this separate symbol, more users. So in our scenario it's saying as the more users. And the next thing is I am including a else if the count is exactly 1, then we can say single user. So it is saying as the single user. Now if I am including some entries, so it is changed into more user. So in case if I remove this record by just including this -1, so we got this no users and then single user. After adding one record, it's saying more users. Okay, we have completed this attribute. The next one is at for. For this at for, we have did some examples, but I want to convey some more information. Okay. So the last time we have used in our home component. So this is actual syntax. So additionally, we can get the even and first value, then index. That information also we can get. So let me explain. For getting more information, let me open the Angular document. So the site already I have mentioned, it's Angular dev. Okay. So in this search section, if you are checking with an control flow, yeah, this built-in control flow. Okay. So we already covered this at if. The next we are in this at for. Okay. We can use our about component. In this component, I am just declaring one variable and I just added one array. I am providing some default values. Okay. Okay. So the next thing is I am trying to bind in our HTML side. Added one new div tag. So inside that we can use our syntax, then our object, and adding track, just our object name only. So next we can include one list, and the LA element we can generate dynamically based on this data. So these are all the things already we have implemented in our home component also. Okay, the same things only I am doing once again. So instead of the item.name, we can directly use the name. The reason is we have a string array. Okay, it's saying countries not exist. Maybe I not saved this page. Yes. Okay. See, we have all this information. So the next thing is we can get all those values. Like we can get the count, index, first, last, even, and odd number. So let me show you how to we can get all those informations. Let's try, and the syntax is at $index. Okay. So this index value also we can bind in our list. So, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we got the index. And the next property is count. So we can include the count also in the same list. See, total records are 5. So basically, these all the informations when we are implementing the custom pagination, it will be more useful. And the next property is, let me check here, first, last, and even and odd. So maybe we can check this even and odd. Okay. So instead of C, I am including this even. So we can see this true false based on the odd and even value. So the real-time use case, based on this value, we can apply some custom colors. So let me show you. So I'm just declaring two colors, okay, and not a colors, it's a class. So one is I just defined the red class and including one small property color. So similarly, including one more class. Okay. And here the color should be green. Okay. So next in our HTML side, we can use this ng class property. Okay. So since we are using this ng class, make sure we need to import the common model. Otherwise it will show some error. Okay, that also done. So here we need to provide the value. First I am setting for this red class. The condition is If it is even, we are showing this red color. Okay. So similarly, for this green class, not equal to even, then obviously it's the add value. So the value got changed. Okay. So now we have completed this for the final one is add switch. See, for the add switch example, the syntax should be like this: add switch, and we can include the case statement. So finally we have to include a default option. So let me try that also. For doing this example, let me use our counter display. So here we already used this active syntax, right? So the same content maybe we can take. Okay. So instead of if, I'm just using switch. Okay. And in this switch condition is our total players only. Okay. And then we should have the cases. So here our first case is the total players value. It's supposed to be a 0. Okay. And then 1. So the final one we can consider as the default. The same way we can include the h1 elements. For the default scenario, we can include this h1 and saying more users. And if it is matching with an 1, then it's a single user. So similarly, the count is 0, then obviously no users. Okay, we can check the output. So maybe for the better understanding, let me comment this section. So, so currently it's saying single users, and if I'm including one user, so now you can see it's changed into more user. So if I'm including one more user, again it is the more users only, because if it is crossed more than one, we are showing this more users. Okay, this is fine. We can move on to the next topic, deferable view. So this deferable view also one of the new concept introduced in Angular 17. Now it is stable in Angular 18. Okay, it is a kind of lazy loading option for the specific content. It could be any HTML element or a component, anything. Okay, so let me provide some background regarding this lazy loading, then you will get more idea. So anyway, we have covered, I'm just repeating. So any of the files or components or model, it should be loaded when it is really needed. From the initial load, we are not loading all the components. Okay, so in order to, we are improving the performance. So the same way we are applying the lazy loading for the specific content. Instead of the file, we are just doing for the specific content. So that is why the deferable view concept comes to the place. Okay, so we can see some examples, then you will get better idea. For doing this implementation, let me use this customer component. Okay, so here I am just including one div tag, and then included one h1 element, just added our channel name. Okay, I am just duplicating and changing the name. Now if you check in our browser, okay, see we have a two text. Okay, so even though if I'm just refreshing, we cannot find any difference in the loading time. Both are loaded in the initial load itself. Okay, so now let me include the defer loading for this content. So let me show you. So the syntax is defer. Okay, and I'm moving this div section into our defer loading side. Now if I'm just refreshing, see in this Nihira Techiees there is no difference. But if you noted in this Angular 18 tutorial, you can see it's just blinking. Okay, actually it is not loaded in the initial time,
After some fraction of delay, it's loaded. So that's why we are seeing this blink. And in this real-time scenario, we may need to load this content after some time duration or after some event happening, or else based on some logical scenario, we may need to load this content. Okay. For handling all these things, we have some triggers. So let me explain one by one. So before that, parallelly I'm opening the document, Angular document, okay, for this deferable view. Okay. So in this example, they were loading one of the component using this defer block. So in our side, we just used one HTML element only, okay. And as I mentioned, some triggers. And before moving on the triggers, we have some additional blocks also. So the first one is defer, we have used, and the second one is placeholder. So we can include the placeholder also. So let me tell you what is the use of this placeholder. So before loading our actual content, if you want to show some text, like a data is available soon or data is loading, so if you want to give some static text before loading our actual content, then we can use this placeholder. Okay. So in our scenario, I'm just using one h2 tag and saying data will be available soon. Okay. So now if you are refreshing, see the placeholder text also coming, but we are unable to see properly. Okay. So what I'm going to do, let me include one trigger. So our first trigger is timer. So the syntax should be like this: on timer. I'm providing 1000 milliseconds. So the idea is our specific content will be loaded after 1000 milliseconds once our page is initiated. So let me show you. So initially, so again it is coming and moving. So let me increase the timer time. Okay. Now it is 10,000. See, in this initial load, we are able to see this Nihira Techiees. Then the placeholder text data will be available soon. So after 1000 millisecond, see our actual content will be loaded. Angular 18 tutorial. This is actually one of the trigger. Okay, and we can see some of the other triggers also. So anyway, let me comment this one. Okay, for the reference purpose. And the second trigger is idle. Idle is the default trigger. Even though if you are not providing any of the trigger, it will be executed automatically. So that means it will be executed within the fraction of time seconds. Okay. And then this viewport. So if you are using this viewport trigger, so make sure we should have this placeholder text. Okay. So initially we have used this timer, then idle. Anyway, we have this placeholder. So if you are removing this placeholder also, it will work. But when we are using this viewport, then make sure we should have this placeholder as the mandatory one. So we can verify now. Okay, this one also almost similar to our idle only. Okay. So our next trigger is event handling trigger. Okay. So the trigger name is interaction. Okay. So let me save this one. See in this initial load, we are able to see this placeholder text only. Once I clicked here, we are able to see this actual content. Okay. So similarly, if you want to use the hover, see again it is same. Once I hovered, see. Okay, in this way we can use our events as the trigger. So it's having one more scenario. Okay, let me tell you. So currently I just hovered in this section, like in this specific content, then it will be loaded automatically. But in this real-time scenario, we may have some buttons or somewhere. Once we clicked or once we hover in this specific area, our content should be loaded. Okay. So let me tell you how to do that. For doing this example, let me have one button. Otherwise, we can use this h1 tag also fine. Okay. I am including one identifier text header. Now in this interaction time or a hover time, I am just including this ID. Okay. So now if I'm hovering also, it won't come. But once I'm hovered in this Nihira Techiees, the text is coming. See, initially it's not coming. Okay. So the same thing is applicable for the interaction also. See, initially it's not coming. Once I clicked this one, see, it's coming. Okay. So next we can see how to load this content based on some logic. So for doing this exercise, let me declare one variable. So the initial value, let me provide true. Okay. And in this content section, I just copied. And let me comment this section for our reference purpose. So in this scenario, instead of on, we have to use when. Okay. And then value. So now in the initial load itself, it's loaded. So the reason is we given us the true. So in case defaultly if I'm providing false, then see it is not loaded. Okay. So for changing this value, let me include one button. Okay. Okay. And we can define this function, otherwise we will get the error. True. Okay. So in this initial load, it's not loaded. Okay. Once I click this button, see, it's loaded fine. So similarly, let me declare one more variable, count equal to 1. Okay. Okay. So now in this condition point of view, if it is more than 2. Okay. So initially the value is 1, so it is not loaded. Once I clicked, so now it may change it into 2. So in this that time, see, it is changed automatically. So let me show once again. The first click, it's not loaded. In the second click, it is changed. Okay. So similarly, we can use any kind of our business logic. So based on the conditions, we can load our content. Okay. And finally, we can include these two more blocks. One is loading. Okay. So this block, we can show our loading spinner. And here we can specify some conditions. Let me get it from our example itself. So the duration, and it should be loaded after some milliseconds. And the final block is error. So once we are loading this specific content, if you face any issue, so then it will come automatically in this error scenario. So then we can show the error message here. Failed to load. So the scenario is like if you're trying to load any of the reports in this specific content, once we have the error, so then this block will be executed. Whatever content we have specified here, it should be displayed. That's all about the concept here. So finally, you may have a question. Can we use more than one trigger or a conditions in the defer block? Yes, absolutely we can include. So currently we just use this logical condition, right? Similarly, I am using this timer also, 1000 milliseconds. Okay, so now if you noted, see, it's loaded. So it's actually waiting for to complete any of the condition matching, then it will be loaded automatically. So in our scenario, I am not clicked. Okay, so that's why this condition is as of now not matched. At the same time, it is matched this trigger, like it's cost 1000 milliseconds, so it will be loaded automatically. So maybe if I'm changed this into 10,000 milliseconds, so in this initial load, it may not load it, but at the same time, if I clicked very quickly, it should be loaded. It's not going to wait for the 10 milliseconds. Okay, this is the way our deferable will work. So if you have any kind of scenario in our application, we can use this concept also. Okay, we can move on to the next topic, JSON Server API. So the JSON Server API we already used in our application. So anyway, let me provide some information. Okay, so the JSON Server is a third-party tool. It is used for creating mock REST API server using JSON file as the data source. Okay, so in our application also we have created one JSON file. Okay, it's having some objects. Objects are acting as the new endpoints. Okay, so the scenario is when you are working with an UI based application, for the data purpose we need some external API. Okay, so the real-time scenario, obviously we will have some API, so that API endpoints we can use in our application. So since you are learning, we don't have any test API. So in this scenario only we are using this JSON Server API. Actually we have several options, but this JSON Server API is the best option. We can create our service very quickly. Okay, so we can just refer the document also. Okay, see from the documentation itself also, the first thing is we have to install this JSON Server packages. Once it is installed, we have to create the JSON file. Here they are mentioned, the text is DB. So if required, we can use our own name also. And again, in our application, I have created inside the data folder. It's just for the managing purpose only. Okay, so actually we can create anywhere. And then we have to include the objects, like in this example we can see this post command profile. So similarly, so in our application also we have used the user and the product. So next we have to run this API. So anyway we have used, but just recalling. Okay, JSON server, then watch. So next we have to specify the path location, source. Inside the source the folder is data, then our file name db.json. Okay, so we have two endpoints. So if you are referring in this document, they were mentioning, so it will support for all HTTP verbs. Okay, so like a get, post, put, patch and delete. So all these actions already I have completed in our part 1 video. And one more information, and in this db.json file, so we are able to see this ID. Okay. So here this ID is the unique value. Okay, so even though if you are not providing any value for this ID, so it will consider this is an integer field, so it will increment automatically. Okay, so again, if you provided some value like a 1 and a 3, then it will take the next value as the 4. So that also will work fine. If so, in case if you provide some value in the string format like admin, suser and int user, right? So now if you are creating one new record, so in this scenario you can expect some random numbers, okay, as the string format. So this is the way our JSON Server API will work. So we can move on to the next topic, basic redactions. Anyway we have done using this model pop-up, so in our product screen. Okay, and our next topic is RxJS. RxJS stands for Reactive Extension for JavaScript. This is a powerful library for reactive program using Observable. and it is having some essential concept. Using that, we can manage the asynchronous event. So the first one is observable, then observer, then subscription, operators, and subjects. So these all concepts are really important. So if you are familiar with this concept, then RxJS is very easy. So first we can start from observable. So observable are the stream of data. Okay. So already we have used this name observable in our application. So the actual use case is Angular services often return the observable, especially for HTTP request. Okay. So whenever we are handling the external services, we have used the HTTP client, then obviously we will get our response in the observable format only. So in this observable, we have a concept, okay. So once we subscribed only, we can access the actual value from our observable. So the use case already we have seen in our application. So see here we can see this getAll method. Basically it will return the responses observable. So that's why we are subscribing. So once we subscribe, we can get the actual value from our observable. This is the actual concept we have used. And next we can see how to define the observable. So we have two ways. By using the observable class, we can define our observable. So similarly, if you have some static data, if you need to convert this into observable format, then we can use this off keyword. Okay. So let me explain from our code. First I'm creating one component. You can provide the name is LAN. Okay. The component is created. So then let me including in our routing side. So the path I given as the LAN and the component should be LAN component. So here the auth card is not needed. So I just removed it. Okay. So in this UI I'm giving the URL like this LAN. Okay. So next parallelly I am opening the RxJS official site. Okay. So if you are using the lower version of Angular, so we have to install this package including this RxJS. So in this latest version, defaultly it's installed. So since we are in this Angular 18, it's already there. So if you checked in our package.json, we can see this RxJS. So look like it is the latest version only 7.8. So here also we can see the core concept like observable, observer, operator, subscription, subject. Additionally, we can see this scheduler and marble testing. But as a beginner, we should know the basic items like observable, operators and subjects. That is more than enough now. So here first we can move on this observable, and here we can see this example. They just defined one observable using this observable keyword. We can try the same. Let me go back to our component, the newly created one LAN. So here let me declare one variable using new observable class. We can provide the value. So next we have to change the value by using this next option. So first I am providing the value as 1 and then 2. So the data type we are maintaining as the integer. So initially the value is 1, then it is changing to 2, then 3. Okay. So let me save this one. And then we have to access this value. Okay. So in the initial time itself, I clearly mentioned. So if you have any observable data, so if you want to get the actual data, then we have to subscribe this one. Okay. So let me subscribe them. So here we can use one console. Okay. So in this console it's not coming because we just declared and subscribed. We not did any of the event side. Okay. So what I'm going to do, let me implement the ng hook. We can move this little bit down. So we can remove this one. So in this ng hook side, I am subscribing this observable. Okay, right. So we can see the response now. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. We got the 3 values. Okay, so next we should know how to stop this observable. So we have option for completing this observable value dot complete. So in this subscribe side, let me modify a little bit. So here we can use the 3 functions. The first one is next, and here we can include one log. We got value is. So whatever value is coming, we can just bind it here. Okay. Similarly for error scenario, we can use this error. And we can provide the error message also. So similarly, we have a complete option. So in this scenario, in our console, we can say like it's completed. See, we got a value is 1, 2, 3. Finally, it is completed. So next we can clear about why we have this complete option. Okay. So as of now, we have changed our values into 3. Now I am just changing this into 4. Okay. So we got the values up to this 3 and then it is completed. But in our example, I just changed it into 4. So it won't reflect. The reason is already we have stopped. I mean, we have completed this observable. So here after any data change also, it won't reflect. Okay. At the same time, if I am moving this into after this 4, see now we got the values up to this 4. After that only it is completed. So now I hope you got the reason why we have this complete option. So as of now, the values are changed immediately. So we don't know when it is actually changed. So what I'm going to do, let me make some change here. So instead of the integer, I can use some string value. Okay. So we can consider one tracking scenario, order placed, then order approved, packed, then shipped. Okay. So as of now, these all the states are fine. Okay. So next we can include some timeout in between the status changed. Set timeout function. First one is 2000 milliseconds, and the next one is 4000 milliseconds, and then 6000 milliseconds. Okay. So we are changing the status in between the time periods. Okay. So now if you check, order is placed. So okay, then it is completed. So because this completion we not provided any time duration. Okay, that's why it is got completed. So better let me comment this one. And in this status also we can directly bind this value. See, so initially it is order placed, then order approved, then packed, then shipped. So within the time period we can see this status. So next what I'm going to do, let me convert one normal static value into observable. Okay. For doing this one, we have this of keyword. Using that we can convert static value into observable. For this example, let me take one array value, the ticket info. Okay, it's a kind of static value only. We can declare in our land component. Okay, and then I am just converting this into observable format. Okay, declaring one more variable, ticket info. and then adding the dollar. It's actually a standard naming conversion for the observable variable. So let me use the off keyword. I believe it is imported, yeah. It's from the RxJS only. So here we can pass this ticket info. Okay. Okay. So next what I'm going to do, we can subscribe in our NgRx event. Let me comment this one. So whenever we are accessing the variable, we have to use this keyword. Okay. Okay. Now if I'm trying to subscribe this one, it won't come because it's the normal array variable only. So our actual observable one is dollar. So now if I'm trying, see, we have this subscribe option. So if I'm adding one console, see, we got the complete array response. So next what I'm going to do, instead of just binding in the console.log, we can display in our UI side. So let me comment this one also, it's not needed. So in our UI side, we can remove this section and then using one list. Okay. And since we know the at first syntax, so we can use the same item of and our variable name, ticket info. So here I'm just generating the LA. Okay. So our data should be like this: ID, name, and color. So let me take this name only. Okay. So the values are binded here. Okay. And if you noted in this variable point of view, we just use the declared array variable only. So now, so instead of this array variable, I can use this observable. So let me include this. So now if I'm trying, I'm getting the error. The type is observable. If you are using this for loop, we should have one iterator. So what we can do, so even though if it is the observable, by subscribing this one, we can get the actual value as the array. Okay. So in our case, I'm directly used in our UI side. So in this UI side, we can use this asynchronous pipe. So using this asynchronous pipe, we can subscribe this observable. So if you are using this input items, make sure we have to import the common model. Okay. See now, it's working fine. So even though we not subscribed, so actually I would say we have subscribed not from the TS file, we have subscribed from the HTML side using this asynchronous pipe. That's it. Okay. So now we have covered this off keyword also. So anyway, in our upcoming topics, we have some use cases for this off keyword also. Okay. So next, let me move on these operators. So these operators are the pure functions. It will take input as one observable, and then it will modify whatever logic change based. So based on the chosen operator, then it will return the new observable. Okay, that is the operator concept. We have several operators. So commonly, whenever we are using any of the operator, we will include this pipe method. Okay, and the commonly used operators are one is map, then filter, catch, error, switch map, and additionally we have this merge, concat, first, last, take, find, fg, and delay. So let me provide some example. So first I'm declaring one observable variable. Okay. So the variable I am just declared data dollar, and I am used the off keyword and providing some values 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is my first observable. Okay, so let me format them. So first I am going to use this map operator. It's actually used for doing the iteration.
So if you are using any of the operator, first we have to use this pipe function map. This one also belongs to the RxJS. So whatever value is coming, I am just multiplying this into 2. Okay. So finally, let me subscribe this one and we can see the response. So the actual value available in this data dollar is 123 only. Okay. After applying this map operator, we have modified multiplying by 2. So see the response 246. Okay. So in case if we not used this operator, then our response is 123 only. By using this map operator, I just modified this value. Okay. So we can see the next operator. So let me use filter. So anyway, I am commenting this one for the reference purpose. Okay. So here instead of map, let me use filter. Okay. And I am providing one condition. So if the value is more than 2 only, I am just allowing. Okay. So in this case, we will get only this 3. So in case if I am changing this into 1, so we got the 2 values. Okay. So the idea is very simple. If you want to apply some conditions to your observable, then we can use this filter option. Okay. Okay, and the next one is catch error, and the switch map we can see little later. So before that, we can complete the small items. So first I'm taking this merge option. Okay. So this merge operator used for combining more than one observable. So let me declare one more variable. Okay. And I'm starting value from 5, 6, 7. I just commented this one. So here I am using this merge operator, and here I am passing this observable data and data 1. Okay. And then we will get the response, so no need to use this pipe and everything. So I'm just subscribing. So now if you checked, see we have the values 1, 2, 3, then 5, 6, 7. So it is get combined as the single observable. So in this example, I just combined 2 observable. It's not just for 2, so we can use more than 1. So let me try with 3 observable. 2, 8, 9. So let me include this data 2 also. See, we got all the values. Okay. Okay, fine. And the next operator is concat. So this concat operator also used for combining multiple observable. But if you are looking for the difference between merge and concat, there is one small difference. Let me explain. So before that, let me use this concat. Okay. So initially we can expect the same response. Let me use both. Okay. I'm just removing the third one. One is concat and another one is the merge. See, first one we can see from 1 to 7, and again it is 1 to 7. The 4 is already we have not used. Okay, we have a 2 set of values. There is no difference. So now if I am changing the order,
5 6 7, then 1 2 3, again same 5 6 7 and 1 2 3. So if you are looking for the difference, see currently we have a static values for these two observable. Okay, so in this real-time scenario we can expect some delay. Okay, so in this delay scenario, so the concat operator will wait. So currently we have used the data one, right? So if there is any delay updating values in this data one, so it will wait for completing this one. After that only it will consider for the second one. Okay, this is applicable for the concat. But in the merge, don't wait. If there is any delay for data one, then it will take the data as the first. So let me explain here. So in this observable, I am using one pipe, that is delay. Maybe I can give 1000 milliseconds. Okay. First I added this merge. See, 1 2 3 is coming first. But in the order we have provided a data one as the first one. So there is some delay, so it is not waited. So since the data is available, it is taken as the first 1 2 3, and then it is having a 5 6 7. So similarly, so instead of the merge, if I am using the concat, from the initial load itself it will wait. Once this data one is coming only, it will take this 1 2 3, the next item. Okay, this is the only difference between this merge and concat. And the next one is first, then last. So it's very simple. So if you are using the first operator, it will take the first value. If it is last, then it will take the last value. So what I'm going to do, we can use the same concat. So here I am using this 5 function and then using this last operator. Okay, we make sure we got import. Yeah. There may be a delay, but this is the last value 3. So similarly, if I provide first, so the first value is 5. Okay, so if I'm using this merge keyword, you can find some difference. Okay, the first one is 1, so similarly the last one is 7, and the next operator is take. So okay, so here we need to find how many objects we are going to take. So if I'm providing count 4, so it will return the first 4 values. Okay, so in this scenario, see 1 2 3 and 5, it's returned the first 4 values. So if I'm providing 2, then it will just return the 2 values. So next we can move on the find. I believe it will return the single value, but anyway we can confirm. So in this scenario we can expect more value. Let me see the output anyway. Okay, so in this scenario, if you used the filter, it will return more than 5 values, I believe. Maybe let me have this data 1. Okay, and then I am changing this into 1. So here if I am using the filter option, I will get 2 output, 2 and 3. Not a data one, just data. Okay, see currently we are just getting the single value 2. So in case if I am using the filter, I will get the 2 value, 2 and 3. Okay, so if I'm changing this into 0, then we will get the 3 values for the filter. So based on the condition matching, it will return all the records when we are using this filter operator. But if you're using this find, we will get only the single response. So since we given us the 0, so the next positive value is 1 only. So it simply return the single value. Okay. So in this real-time use cases, mostly for the matching scenarios, we can use this find. Okay. And the final one is every, and delay already we have seen for applying some delay, and every. So every basically it will return true or false. Okay. So the idea is, so in this data observable, it's having 3 values, and then we have applied one condition. Okay. So the condition is matching for all the values only, it will return true. Otherwise, it will throw the false only. So in this scenario, we got the response as false. The reason is we have a values 1, 2, and 3. So it is just checking 1 with 2. Then obviously it's not matched. Then it will return the false only. Okay. So if I want to make this into true, maybe I can give 0. So all are more than 0. Then we can expect true. See? And if I am giving 1, then it's false. So the reason is the next two characters 2 and 3, it's fine, but the first one is 2, first one is 1 equal to 1 only, but we have a condition is more than 1, so then condition is failed. Obviously we got the false response. So the real-time use case is if you have a list of data, if you want to apply some special conditions, okay, if all are matched only, we have to allow for further like kind of validation scenario. So in this case we can use this every operator. Okay, additional items we have covered, and then this catch error. So this catch error used for catching the error. If there is error in between the process, we will get in this catch error block. So similarly in this switch map, this will map a new observable and cancelling the previous one. So in the first example, right, in the map, we will have our existing observable. So based on applying some changes, it will return one new observable, and since the old observable also available. Okay, but if you are using this switch map, then the previous one is cancelled. For the real-time use case, for this catch error and the switch map, when I'm implementing the NgRx, we will have. So anyway, I will cover NgRx as the next topic. So for this RxJS point of view, we have completed this operator, and the final topic is subjects. So subjects are the special type of observable that allows value to multicasted to multiple observers. Okay, we have different types. The first one is subject, then behavior subject, replace subject, and the final one is asynchronous subject. Okay, so all are almost the same. The only difference is data emit and handling the data. Okay, so anyway, let me provide some examples, then you will get the better idea. We can go back to our land component. We can declare one subject variable using this new keyword subject. And commenting this one for the reference purpose. And again, as I mentioned, this subject also kind of observable, then we can subscribe. And we can assume this is the first subscriber. We can call it is observer 1. Okay, I am changing this value. Or else we can say I am just emitting the value by using this next function. So initially there is no value, I am just changing this into 1. So similarly in this next line 2. So now if you are looking for the response, say observer 1, so initial value is 1, then it is 2. When I am subscribing time, actually it don't have any value. So after that only the value got modified 2 times. So I am able to access both the values. Okay. So now I am subscribing with another one subscriber. So I can call it is observer 2. Okay. And again I'm just modifying this value into 3. See the response. First one is observer 1 can have the value 1, 2 and 3. Okay, because both the values got changed after I subscribed as the observer 1. Okay, but in this observer 2 point of view we can see only 3 because the previous values not considered. After subscribing there is any data change only, the data will be available simply if you are using these subjects. Okay, we have done the subject, and the next one is behavior subject. So it will emit the last value to the new subscriber. So we can do the same drill. First let me define this behavior subject. New behavior subject. Okay, but it will expect the default value when we are defining the subject itself. Okay, so I'm just giving 1 as the initial value. Okay, then we can subscribe. I'm just commenting this one. Okay, and instead of the subject we can use the behavior subject. Again this one also a kind of observable, so we can do the data change and also the subscribe. I'm just changing this value and then we can see the response. So the first difference already we have noted. For the normal subject there is no need to provide the initial value. Since we are using the behavior subject, it's mandatory to have the default value. And see the response. Again same, the observer 1, it's got the initial value, then it is changed into 1 once again, so we got the 1 2 times, and then it is changed into 2. Okay, up to this. So the previous value we got, then we got this 1 and 2. Okay, so next in this observer 2 we are subscribed in this area. For this observer 2, it's got the previous value. The previous value is 2. Initially it was 1, then it is changed into 1 once again, then it is changed into 2. So it will give the last value. Okay, then the observer 2 got the value is 2. Next the value is changed into 3. So the 3 is accessed by both observer 1 and 2. See, so now we have completed this behavior subject, and the next one is replace subject. So it will emit all previously emitted values to the new subscriber. Okay, for the first two, the basic subject, it's not emitted any previous value, but in this behavior subject it is emitted the last one value. Okay, but in this replace subject it will emit all the previous value also, I believe. So anyway we can try. So the steps are same. Again I am just declaring one subject first. It's replace subject, and there is no need to provide any default value. It's not mandatory, just copied, and the reference purpose I'm just commenting this one. Okay,
See the response. First we can take this observer 1, so it can get the values 1, 2, okay, and 3. So similarly for this observer 2, it got the 1, 2, and then 3. Okay, so the scenario is matched. And the final one is asynchronous subject. It will emit the last value emitted before the completion. So let me try that also. First, as usual, we can declare the subject. Asynchronous subject. Okay, asynchronous subject. So next in the subscribed side, let me comment this one. First we can like this. So we don't get any values. Okay, that means it's not considering the future values. Okay, see, it's not returning any value. So what I'm going to do, let me complete this one. Okay, so now we got these two. So even though if I'm providing 3, so we got the 3. So similarly, I'm subscribing after this complete 2. See, both the observer got the value as 3. Okay, in this subject point of view, there is no point when we are subscribing. So once it is completed only, it will return the value, and also it will return the last value before it is completed. Okay, so in this scenario we can use the asynchronous pipe. So let me provide the short notes. So the first one is subject, the basic one. So it won't return any previous values to the new subscriber. Once they subscribed, if there is any data change only, it will share. And this behavior subject, it will emit one last value to the new subscriber, and it's mandatory to have the default value while defining this behavior subject. Then the replace subject, it will return all the emitted values. So that means even though if you are a new subscriber, so previously it may have some value emitted, that value also we will get. So the final one is asynchronous subject. This one we can access once it is completed, and also we will get the last value. Okay, the subject also done. So I hope you got some better idea regarding this RxJS. So we can move on to the next topic. NgRx. NgRx is another state management option. So using this, we can transfer the data between unrelated components. And also it will use the all concept of RxJS inside the NgRx. Okay. So then you may have a question, already we have an RxJS, then why we are going for this NgRx. So the reason is NgRx is a framework and it will provide the better way of handling this state management. Okay. So the scenario is if you have unlimited data that you need to transfer between the components, then we can use this RxJS subjects. At the same time, if you have complex data and you need to transfer between different components, then we can use this NgRx. Okay, so this NgRx developed by inspiring this Redux pattern. So Redux is one of the common pattern used in RxJS application. The same design pattern only we are using in this NgRx also. Okay, first let me explain the architecture of NgRx, then we can see some examples. See this diagram. So it's having different blocks, right? Like a store, a reducer, action, selector, and effects. Okay. First, let me tell you why we have these all the blocks. So the first one is store. This is responsible for our data and our data stored in the object format. And the next one is action. So action can be dispatched from component or effects. Okay. And it is having the parameters and also the action type. The next one is reducer. Based on the action type, the reducer will modify the store data. Okay. And then selector, Using this selector, we can consume the store data in order to we can use in our components. And the final one is effects. So effects will handle the services. So normally, if you have a service in our Angular application, we will directly use in our component side. See, in this product component also, we have used the services directly. We just injected in this constructor, then we have used. So since we are using this NgRx concept, there is no direct connection between these services and the components. So the service handling completely done from this effects. So let me explain one complete flow. So just assume from the initial load, you have 5 records. Okay, the 5 records are already stored in our store. Okay, so using the selector, we already consumed and displaying in our component. Okay, so the next thing is from this component, we are creating one new record. For creating the new record, so basically we will directly call our services. So since we have this NgRx concept, we are dispatching an action, and through the action we are passing our parameters. Okay, then action will directly goes to our effects. Okay, and then it will call the respective services. From the services we can expect one positive response, otherwise the failure response. So based on the response, it will dispatch one new action. So if it is a positive response, it will share some data. Okay, so similarly it is the failure scenario, it will dispatch with an error message. So then the request will go to the reducer. If it is the positive scenario, so the reducer will update our store. Okay, then updated value will be available in our store. So as per the NgRx point of view, if there is any state change, okay, and if you already consumed using this selector, so it will be automatically reflected. It is just like our observable. Okay, so the same thing we can implement in our application, then you will get the better idea. So the first thing is make sure we have to install all the required packages. Okay, so let me open the official site of NgRx. Okay, so here we can see all the library information like NgRx store, FX, router store, entity, component store, signals and operators, and additionally we have this developer tools. So first let me start from this NgRx store. Okay, for the installation stuff we have a page. So let me take this command. So here you can see this at latest. Okay, so even though if I'm not providing this at latest, it will defaultly installing the latest version. So look like our application in running mode. Anyway, let me stop this one. Found the compatible version 18.0.2. This is the latest version. So would you like to proceed? We can give yes. Once it is completed, we have to install the next packages. Effects, this one also needed. Okay, the first package got installed. See, the latest version 18.0.2 is included. And then in our app config section, we can see this section, provide store. It's defaultly included. If it is not done, we have to include it manually. Okay. And the next package is NgRx effects. Again, the latest version, yeah, I believe that 18.0.2 only. Okay, installation done. See, the effect also included, and it will update our app.config. See, in our app config side, it's included this provide effect option. Okay, so this is the place once we created our effects, make sure we have to register. So similarly in this provide store, we can include our states. So anyway, once I started the implementation, you will get more idea. So the next package is router store and this entity. These all the things are not much important. So I am directly moving to this developer tools. Okay. And my intention is, since we are learning this NgRx, we should know the basics of NgRx and how to use in our application. At least I am trying to complete one create actions. Then you will be more familiar But some additional concept I have done the separate video for this NgRx. Okay, so there you can find the more detailed information. For the initial level, these three packages is more than enough. This effect, store, and DevTools. The installation gets completed. Again, in this app.config side, you can see one more section that is provide store DevTools. Okay. So first, let me tell you regarding this DevTools. So this is actually used for debugging our NgRx state. Okay. So here you can see the property maximum is 25. So that means it will track the last 25 transaction. Okay. So the old one get automatically removed, and this log only it's only for the dev mode. Okay. So now we have done this implementation. Anyway, let me rerun this application. So our next plan is, so whatever block we just discussed, I am going to define everything in our application. So using that, we can do one complete redaction. For the implementation purpose, we can use the same product screen, but I will create one duplicate menu. Okay. So let me start the implementation. I'm just creating one more component. New product. That's my component name. Okay. And then mapping in our routing side. After this LAN, I'm including this one. The path is product new. The component is new product. Okay. So in this URL, let me give a new product. Okay, it should be product new. Okay. And then we can create the file for our NgRx implementation. In this app folder, I'm creating one new folder. It's called store. And then creating one new file. It's for the product. So let me provide the name is product state. And the next one is for the action. So we can provide the name is product.action. State and actions are ready. And then selector. And the next one is reducer. And then effects. All are the TS file only. So now if you check this diagram, we have this store. Actually, store we not created the separate file. From this store, we can have a number of states. That's why we created one file for this state. And then reducer, we have a file. And action, we have a file. Yes. And then selector, we created the separate file. And the final one is effects. Okay. So next, we can start from this state. So state is nothing but an object. It's having some initial value. Export constant. And our state is product state. Before that, let me create one model class for this product state. So already we have one model folder, right? So I'm just creating one model product state model. Okay. So here we can include the properties. Here the first property is list, because we need to access the list of product information, and the data type is products. Okay.
and if there is any error response, we need to handle this error message. The data type is string. Okay, let me save this one. So as of now, we can have these two properties. If required, then we can include it later. So next in our state side, I am using the same model, product model. Okay, we can have the default values, add missing properties. So we have one list empty array, and then error message is empty. So now our state is ready. So next we can move on the action. So in this action side, first I am going to create the action for load all the customers. Okay, so let me declare one constant variable. We can give the name as load product or else load products. Okay. On the value point of view, we can provide some format. So in this product model, our function is load products. Okay. So similarly, let me declare two more variables. So once we called our services, we can expect two responses. One is the success scenario. Okay. So similarly, failure scenario. Okay. The variable declaration are done. And then defining this action. My first action is load product. Okay. And using this create action method, we can define our action. It belongs to our NgRx store only. And then we have to provide the type. Type is nothing but the action name. So we can give us a load product. Okay. There is a spelling mistake. So the same way we can define the other actions. One is for success. Again same create action. Then we have to provide the type. Load product success. And then parameter. So in this parameter, we will use the name as props. Okay. The props is once our request is succeeded, we will get the response of list of product information. So we can provide the name is list and the type is products. Okay. So now we just define these actions. It's very simple. Using this create function, we are just defining our actions and then we have provided the action type. Okay. And then the next scenario is we just provided the parameters using these props. So I have missed one more action. It's for the failure scenario. So in this scenario, we will get the error message. And the data type is string. Okay. So you may have a question why we have defined this variable. The reason is as per the NgRx standard, they are maintaining like this. If you looked in this constant, then you will know what is the model and we are just giving the definition. What's regarding this action. That's it. Okay. So next we can move on the reducer. Again in this reducer also, we can define our reducer using the create reducer function. This one also belongs to the NgRx store. Product reducer. Okay. So here we can use this create reducer. And then we have to pass our default state, product state only. And then we can handle one of our action using this on function. So here I am just matching our action. So first let me take this load product success. Okay. And here we will get our actual state and also the action information. Okay, and writing the callback function. Okay, this on needs to be imported. Okay, this on also belongs to our NgRx store only. From this section, we need to return our actual state. Okay, and then based on our action, we are trying to modify our state. So in this list, so whatever props we are getting from this action, I'm just replacing it here. Okay, and then in this error message, since this is the positive scenario, then there is no error. I am modifying this into empty. Okay, I just formatted. And similarly, for the failure scenario, we can include one more section. So in this time, I'm checking with the different action, load product fail. Okay, so in this failure scenario, for our list, obviously it should be empty array. And in our error message, we can show our error text that we can get it from the action error message. So if you have a question where the list is coming and also where the error message is coming means, it will choose to based on our actions. So in this scenario, it is a success, right? So in this success action side, see the props is list. Okay. So similarly, this load product fail, our props is error message. See. So this is the way our reducer will work. Okay, we just defined our reducer, but actually we cannot directly use this reducer in our store side. So we have to create one function. Okay. So let me do that now. Export function and product reducer, and it's having two parameters. The first one is state. We can give the data type is any, and another one is action. The data type I just given as any, and from this function we can return our actual created reducer. Okay, so here we can pass the state and action. That's it. Okay, so next we can register this reducer in our store side. So while installing the store, we have seen this provide store section, right? In this app.config side. Here we can use the objects, okay? And I'm creating our alias name is product. And here we need to use our reducer, product reducer. Okay, now this is done. So we have done the basic configuration. So the next thing is we have to work for the services. For services, we have this effect option. Okay. So in this effect side, since we are handling the services, we need to use the injectable decorator. Okay. And then we can define our effects using this create effect function. So our actual effect name we can give us the product effect. Okay, so here we can use the constructor and then creating effect for our load product. The create effect class belongs to our NgRx effect. Before implementing this create effect, we need to inject the actions in our constructor because it's needed one. This actions, it belongs to our NgRx effects only. So in this store also we can see this one action, but our required thing is this actions. Next, in the CFX side, using one callback function, and then in this actions we can use this pipe function. So we already discussed the pipe is belongs to the RxJS, so that we are using in our NgRx side also, and then using of type. So here only we are just checking our action. So in our case I am using this load product and then using xcast map. So this xcast map also a kind of RxJS function, and here we can call our services. Okay, so before that make sure we need to inject our service also. Product service. Okay, so this dot service and get all function, and here again I'm using this pipe function. Okay, and then using the map operator. So whatever response we got from the services, we are passing as the props to our next action. Okay, so from here I am dispatching one new action, that is our load product success. So our prob is list and then passing this data. Okay, and in between if any error we can use this catch error option. Okay, here we can dispatch our load product fail, so that we need to convert this into observable format. So I am using this of keyword, then load product fail, and our prob is error, I mean the error messages, and the value we can just pass like message. Okay, so we are still getting the error. The reason is look like this map is not imported. Okay, so initially we are just checking this action. If it is load product, we are calling these services. Okay, and then using this map function, we are just checking if it is the positive response, then we are dispatching this load product success, and whatever response we got from the services, we are just passing as the parameter. Similarly, if there is any error, we are dispatching this load product fail action and passing this error message. Okay, and finally we have to work for the selector. So in this selector, first we can access the complete state. Using this create feature selector, and the data type is product model. And then we have to provide the alias name. So in this store we have used, okay, this is the product. So the reason is in this application the store is the global one. Okay, and we can create the n number of state for the different models. So obviously we can register all the states in this store. So then we are creating the alias name for the individual states. So in our case this is just a product. So the same name we can use in our selector side also. Okay. So next I am creating the selector for the individual object. Get product list. For creating the selector also we have a function create selector. Okay, so here we need to pass the actual state, I mean the complete state value. Okay, so in this state we can access this list and error message. So in our case the list is needed on. Okay, so let me format them.
So now we have done from our NgRx side for this loading all the products. So next we can work in our component side. Okay, so we already created one new component. First what we can do, so already we have this product component. Okay, normally we have implemented the whole functionality, so we can copy all the codes from here, then we can modify based on our NgRx flow. I just updated this HTML side, and similarly for this TS side also, just importing this all required models. Okay, and make sure we need to include all these items. Okay, and then we can copy all these complete section. Okay, and here these products we can import, and then view child also we can import, and the service it's not needed because we are handling service through our effect side. And this open pop-up, let me command it for currently. Again in these other functions, so inside the definition we can just command it. Okay, later on we can change. Again in this load product also I am just commanded. Okay, and in the CSS side we have just one button that also included. Okay, so next for our NgRx point of view, very first thing is we need to import the store. Okay, so first in our load products function we can dispatch our first action using the store and dispatch, and our action is the load products. Okay, and then we need an updated data. So what I'm going to do, let me access the selector. Using this select option we can access our selector, and then we have to use our selector name get product list. Okay, so here we will get our responses observable. Then let me subscribe them. So then whatever data is coming, that we can assign into our product list. So we can completely reuse this code here. Okay, there is no more difference. So okay, we can try this output. Okay, it's showing data is not available. So in this product screen, data are available. So in our NgRx implemented screen, there is no data. Actually, we can track this one. So whenever there is no data, first thing is we need to check in this console. See, there is no error. Okay. So the next thing is, since our data available in this NgRx, we can debug. So in this inspect element section, we have one more option is called Redux. Okay. So from this Redux, we can verify this one. In case this Redux tab is not coming, we have to install one extension. So just go to the extension and install this package, Redux Dev Tools. Okay. So already I have included. So that's why I am able to see this Redux tab. And the configuration, while installing this NgRx Dev Tools package, it will include automatically. This is the only configuration change. Provide store dev tools. Okay. So now if you checked here NgRx int, so it's dispatched this load products. Okay. And here we can see this action. So in this action point of view, product and load products, and in our state this is our initial state. Okay.
and then it's supposed to dispatch success or the failure actions, but nothing has happened. So let me verify. Okay, now I got it. So we have created our effects, okay, but we not registered in our configuration side. That's why it may be not executed. So let me include our effects in our configuration side. We have this provide effects section, right? So we need to include our effects, product effect. So let me try once again. See now, the data are available in our NgRx updated screen also. See, having a 7 records, again here also a 7 records. So we can check in our dev tool section also. See, first it is executed this load product action. Initial state is empty. Once it is succeeded, see, the state is changed. So in this list section we have our records. So if you looking for the difference, this is the only change. These 6 records are newly included. So now you got some better idea how our NgRx flows work. So next let me focus on this add new. So most of the codes we can reuse from our existing screen. So whatever change we are mainly including for this NgRx, that change only additionally I'm including, okay. For this add new, anyway we need a new component. So let me create then ng generate component. We can give add product new. Okay, the component is ready, and again the same way we can copy the complete design. The HTML changes are moved. Similarly for the CSS changes. And then TypeScript side, first this import section. So I just copied everything and included here, and this product service is not needed. Okay, I copied everything. So first in our inject section we can remove this product service. So instead of that we can use the store. Anyway it's needed. Okay, and in this mat dialog graph, instead of this add product component we can use add product new, and then inject it's needed. And in this service call we can just command it, and other forms we can keep as it is, and then this service calling functions we can command it. Okay, this is fine. So next in our new product component, so in this open pop-up function I'm just uncommenting everything. Okay, so instead of this add product component I am using this add product new component. Okay, anyway this load product section, the commented lines are not needed. So now if I'm clicking this add new, the pop-up will be opened. So the next thing is we have to work for this NgRx. The steps are same only, okay. So the state point of view there is no change, I believe, yes. So next in our action side, so in this action point of view I am creating 2 actions, okay. So basically we have to create the 3 action. Let me tell you. First one is add product, okay, and then add product success. So similarly we will get the error. So in my scenario I thought I can show the error message from our effect itself. So that's why I have not created the separate action for this failure scenario. So now add product. Okay. It should be add product.
then add product success. Next, in this input point of view, while adding time we have to pass the object. I can give us the input data. Okay, and the data type is products. So let me format it. So similarly in this access scenario also we can get the same data because we need to modify our store. Okay, so now our action is ready. The next thing is we can focus on the effects. So in this effects side we can duplicate this one. We can say create product. Okay, and here we are checking the action is add products, and then calling the service method is create product. So we have to pass our parameter that we can get it from the action dot input data. Okay, and in this success scenario we can dispatch this add product success, and here also the prob is input data, and the response whatever input we got, the same data we can pass it here. Okay, I'm just provided there is a spelling mistake. Okay, let me correct it. Okay, now it is got resolved. And in this failure scenario we can show the alert message. Okay, so what I'm going to do, let me define one more function, show alert. Okay, it's having two parameters. So the first one is message and then response. It's a kind of pass or failure scenario. So if the response is pass, then we can use. Okay, so first we need to inject the toaster. Since I'm using this toaster alert, toaster service. Success. We can give this message. So in this else scenario, we can have as the failure scenario, error. Okay, and we cannot directly use the function from here. I believe it will throw the error. So anyway, let me confirm. Show alert. Okay, so we supposed to return one action. Okay, so I'm just creating one empty action here. Maybe I can take this one, and the type I'm providing empty. Okay, empty action. Now you can use this action from here. Okay, it's having two parameters. In this failure scenario we can give us fail, that's it. Okay, I have included in this load products. So here, anyway, here also we can keep like this, no issue. Okay, so and again in our success scenario also make sure we need to show this alert message.
So what we can do, instead of the xcast map, we can use the switch map option. Okay, and here also it's a switch map. So then in this response side, okay, and additionally we can pass this alert message also. The response is pass, and then the message should be created successfully. Okay, so now the effect side we have done. Next, in our reducer side, I'm creating one more new section. So this is for add product success. Okay, here the first thing is I'm declaring one constant variable, new data. That is an object. We can get it from our action as the response, and then in our error message should be empty. And then this list we are modifying. So first we can give whatever value already available in our state, we can give the same list. And additionally we are including one more new object, that is our new data. Okay, so next in our component side we can use this add section. Okay, so instead of the service we can use the store, and again we can dispatch our action add products. Okay, and our props is input data, and make sure we have to pass this value data. Okay, the data is fine. So in this edit scenario we are assigning this id value. So in this add scenario anyway it is the auto generated value, so we can try now. Okay, I'm just creating one more record. So I got this notification, and similarly the new record is inserted here. And here the thing is, whenever I'm closing the pop-up, obviously I'm calling this load function. Okay, so that's why it is refreshed once again. But the thing is, since we are using this NgRx, that refresh also not needed. So let me show you. So in this new product section, we are calling this load product, otherwise it won't refresh. So since we are using this NgRx, I just commented, we are expecting it should work automatically. Okay. I'm just saved once again. See the new record is available, new tennis and other information, but you can see this ID is 0. The reason is, since this is the auto generated field, okay, even though if I'm just refreshing, you will get the newly created ID, say 10. Okay, but in our concept we are actually not refreshing our screen, and also we are not fetching data directly from our data source. So instead of that, directly we are handling through our NgRx. Okay, so the newly created ID not available. Okay, so in this scenario we can apply some custom logics in our reducer itself. Okay, so I'm just taking this maximum ID, and then in this new data we are assigning value for this ID. Okay, so now if I'm creating one more new record, So we got the response. To see this record, and this value also got updated. But actually we are not at refreshing the screen also, and our add pop-up and listing both are a different screen. Since we are using this NgRx concept, it is applied automatically. Okay. So the next one is edit scenario. So in this edit scenario, first thing is we need to load the existing data. Okay. So in this case, I'm just modifying from our state itself. Okay. I'm going to include one more object, edit data. This is just a product object. Okay. And then in our state side, we can include the default value. So here actually we need to include the default values. Okay. Okay. This one also done. And in our action side, we can have two actions. So we can follow the same standard. First one is get product. Get product. And in our action also, the first one is get product. So the first prob is we need to pass the ID. Okay. And the data type is number. And the next action is get product success. Okay. So in this scenario, we will get one object. Okay. So next we can go back to our effect section. We are creating one new effect. Get effects. And our action is get product. Okay. And the function is get product by code. And we need to pass the ID. We can get it from the action. And once it is succeeded, we can dispatch our get product success. And here the props is object. So we will get our responses data. Okay. And this alert message is not needed. So I'm just removed. So in this failure scenario, if required, we can show this failure. So next we can move on the reducer side. I'm just copying this one. I just duplicated. So first we are checking this action. Get product success. So in this scenario, so in this error message, no change. And in this list, we no need to modify anything. But in the object, edit data, right? So here we can assign the value as object. Okay. So the next thing is in our selector side. I am creating one more new selector. Just to get product. So here we can just return this edit data. Okay. And next in our add product new component side. So already we have injected the services, not a service, store. Okay. So next in this onload function, I'm just uncommenting this one. Okay. And here instead of the service, we can use the store and then select option. Okay. So inside the select, I am using this get product selector. So here actually we no need to pass this ID. Okay. But make sure we need to dispatch on action. get products. Okay, and here we need to pass this ID. So then once we have a value, obviously we can bind in our forms. So let me try now. See, the individual values are loaded fine. So the next thing is we have to work for the update. So again our work start from the actions. It's similar to our add products. Okay, update. Okay, and other things are same. There is no more change. So next in our effect side, we can just copy this add products. So hereafter there is no much changes. Update products, and our function is update product. At the message we can say updated successfully, and once it is succeeded we can dispatch this update product success. So next in our reducer side we can copy this one, the update product success, and this maximum ID set function is not needed. Okay, and in this scenario we cannot directly include one new record. Make sure we need to update the existing one. Okay, for this new data we can just use our existing state. Okay, and then using the map function and returning if both are matching, then we can use the updated record. We are just replacing. Otherwise we can use the existing object. So once we have this new value, that we can directly include it here. So I just formatted. So next in our component side we can just uncomment this one. So instead of the service we can use the store, and then dispatching the action. So our action is update products, and make sure we have to pass the props. I'm passing this data. Okay, so then let me try now. See, we got the new value and it is updated successfully. See, it's got updated. Similarly, if I'm changing the price value, okay, so now our update and create scenario and listing screen is working. The final one is delete. So anyway, the delete not going to take much time. So the steps are same. The first one is we are creating the action. Delete product success, and then make sure we have to declare these variables, not a variable, the constant declaration. Delete. Okay, and in these actions we can use these variables. And in this parameter point of view, ID, and the data type is number. And in this success scenario also we can pass the same ID. That is more than enough. Okay. Next, in our effect section we can reuse this update effect, remove products, and then we are checking our action, delete products, and then our service method is, it's a remove product, and then passing ID as the parameter. Then once it is succeeded, I am dispatching this delete product success action. And here once again I am passing this ID, that's it. Add the message deleted successfully. Okay. And then let me go back to our reducer side. So here again I am just checking this action once again. Delete product success. So in this scenario, instead of this map option, I am using filter. Okay. And then just checking not equal to this action.id. Okay, I just formatted, and other things are same. So finally in our component side, okay, we can just uncomment everything. So instead of the service we can use store, and then we are dispatching an action, delete products. Okay, and we are passing the props, the ID. Okay, and this remove and other things are not needed. And the load product also I just removed. See, now I am trying to remove this mat. Do you want to remove? Once I click to OK, okay, it's completely got deleted. Not deleted, completely removed. So let me confirm. Okay, there is small change. And I am just refreshing once again. So okay. So now our data are available. So let me try to remove once again this temp. See, it's removed successfully. So like if I am removing this jersey, see. So now we successfully completed our CRUD actions. So now if you clearly looking in our component side, we are completely removed these services. Instead of that, everything handled through the store, and also this data also completely available in our store. So let me show you that also. See in our Redux, so in this initial time, we have this much record, around 5 records are there. Okay. So now if I'm trying to modify one of the record, I'm just giving test1. So let me save them. Okay, now it is updated. So if you looking in this Redux section, you can see this update product is executed, and we passed parameters ID and name some values, the newly updated values, and then see this update success is happening. So now see our state got modified. If you want to see the difference, this test changed into test1, and other values are same. So similarly, if you removed one of the record also, see this delete action got executed and in this particular record got removed. So this all the information we can just debug using this dev tools. Okay.
Okay, since we completed this NgRx, we have covered most of the big concepts in Angular. So next we can see what are the ways we can improve our codings and also the application performance. So here I just listed out some of the steps, and if I have missed something, let me know in the comment box. We can discuss a little later. So the first point is unsubscribe all the subscription on destroy. So if you clearly noted in my all the examples, I just did the subscription. Okay. So since I'm not did this unsubscription, it may cause the memory leakage issue. Now let me tell you how to do that. Actually, we can do the unsubscription the two ways. So the first one is, so in this example, we just did the subscription, right? This is the manual subscription. So we have to do the unsubscription also in the manual way by implementing the onDestroy hook. Okay, let me do that now. Ondestroy. I just implemented this hook and then declaring one variable. And then we have to assign the value for this subscription variable. And the next thing is, in our ng onDestroy hook, we can unsubscribe. Okay. So it's not going to break our functionality whenever the component gets destroyed. So it should be unsubscribed automatically. Okay, it's working. This is the first way of doing the unsubscription. And another option is we can use the asynchronous pipe. So if you use the asynchronous pipe, it will do the subscription and unsubscription automatically. But only the problem is, so if you are doing this asynchronous pipe, then we will have the very less control. Okay. Just to consider in this example also, we just subscribed. Once we have a value, we just converted this into matable data source, and then we have included this paginator and sharding. So these all the activities we cannot handle if you are using this asynchronous pipe. Similarly, the error handling scenario also too difficult. Okay, the asynchronous pipe I already shown while explaining the observable concept. So actually we used in our land component. Okay, this is one of the observable variable, and then we have used the asynchronous pipe. So after then we just banded in one of the list. Okay, so the next thing is, in this component we are subscribed in the single places. Okay, then we just unsubscribed ng onDestroy side. In some scenarios, in the single component itself, we may subscribe different items. Okay, then we have to do the multiple unsubscription. Okay, so let me tell you how to do that. For doing this implementation, let me use my product component. Okay, so in this product component, so the same way in this load product I have subscribed directly from the services. Next in this delete time we have subscribed once again. Okay, so for doing this implementation, the same way we have to declare the subscription. Since we are using the more than one subscription, we have to define like this. Okay, and then once it is subscribed, we can include into our subscription by using the add keyword. Subscription one. Okay, so the same way in this delete section also, add a subscription to. So finally we can implement the ng onDestroy hook.
So in this hook we can do the unsubscription. Okay, we can try our products also. Okay, it is working fine. If I'm trying in this delete functionality also, it's deleted successfully. So the next point is error handling. We can use the same example. So if you look at this load product side, we are just subscribed, right? So in this scenario, actually we can expect the error scenarios also. Okay. So there are two ways we can handle. One is we can use the error function, and the another one is catch error function. The catch error is belongs to the RxJS. So first let me use the catch error option. I just duplicated. Okay. Instead of directly subscribing, I am using this pipe operator. So here I am using this catch error option. So the error we can include in the console. And then we can subscribe. And returning the empty array. Okay. You can try this one. See, the product is loaded. There is no issue. So the thing is, from our service side, I'm just making one change. So in this scenario, we are expecting the error. See this console, we'll get the complete error information. If you just given the message, we will get the exact message. See, HTTP failure for this API URL, the 404 not found. So the same error message we can display in the UI, and also if required we can do the customization also. Okay. So now we have covered this unsubscribe and error handling. The next thing is make sure we have to use the lazy loading. So in the initial time itself, I just explained how to do the lazy loading for the components. But we did for one or two components only. Okay. We did lazy loading for this contact. So if you are doing like this, this component will be loaded whenever we are clicking the particular link. So in this initial load, it's not going to be loaded. Okay. So the same thing we can do for all the components. And the another one is create reusable components. It's all about the scenario. Okay. So currently we are just displaying one product listing. Okay. So if you have a big application, we may have a same kind of list in multiple places. So in this scenario, we can create one common reusable component. So the same reusable component we can use in the multiple places. Instead of creating a number of new components, we can use the same component. And the next thing is provide exact data type. So whenever we are declaring the variable, if you know exact data type, then we can use the same. Okay. Maybe if I'm taking this product component, see in our all the declarations, mostly we provided the exact data type. So in this product list also. Okay. So this is actually a good practice. In some examples, you may see like the data type we always given us the any. Okay. But some scenarios was there. If you are unable to identify the data type, then we can use the any. But since if you know the exact data type, then make sure go ahead for using the exact data type. Okay. And then create the separate file for the constant variable. Don't use the hardcode value. Okay. So if you are using the hardcode value, make sure you have to move everything into the constant variable, and then we have to use. Like in this scenario, I just passed one hardcode value, right? Create product. So in these scenarios, we can use one constant variable. That value we can pass it here. That is the better practice. Okay. And the next one is create model with a single responsibility. It's not only applicable for the model, it can be applicable for all type of files. Okay. So in our application also, in this model section, if I'm taking this product model, so it's having the only product related information. Okay, but if we go to the login models, we have declared this login model, then user and role. So all are related things, but the better practice, we can create the separate files. Okay. Okay. So mostly we have covered, as I mentioned, if I'm missing something, let me know in the comment box. We can include later. So we can move on to the next topic, ng content. Okay.
So ng content isn't direct queue, it is acting as the placeholder for the dynamic content. So let me tell you the use cases. So basically using this ng content, we can transfer any HTML content from one component to another component, and also we can place the required areas. So let me explain from our application. So first I'm creating one new component, okay. I just providing the name is child new, because already we have one component with the name of child. So the component is created. I'm just copying this selector and then using in our land component. Okay, so already we have some content, and additionally I am adding this one. That's it. Okay, so since we are using this component in our land component, make sure we need to import this one. So now if you see the response, okay, so you can just see this text child new works. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, let me pass some content from our parent component. Here the parent component is our land component. Okay, I'm just passing one h1 element. Okay, this is fine. And the next thing is we have to preview this content in our child component. Okay, so in our child component side, okay, this one, we have to use the placeholder. So the placeholder is nothing but our ng content. Okay, see our text is coming. So in case if you commanded this placeholder, just this child new works only coming. After adding this placeholder only, we are able to view this transferred HTML content. So next we can see how to pass more than one HTML content. Again in our land component. So this time I am passing on h2 tag. Okay. Okay, we can see the response now. Okay, this powered by content also coming. So next we can see how to place this HTML content in the different places. So let me tell you. For the example purpose in our child new component, I am including this mat card. Okay. Similarly adding this mat card header and content footer. And similarly from our component side, we are passing the first content. This is for the header. So the last text we can use in the footer. So in between I am just passing one paragraph tag also. Okay. So now I have to place these different HTML elements in the different areas in our child component. So currently, okay, I am getting the error for this mat card. So the reason is, since I am using this mat card, make sure I have to import this model, mat card model. Okay, the error got resolved. Okay, so see, okay, currently these three HTML elements are transferred, but it's not reviewing inside your cards. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just including one style also. Okay, for the identification purpose. Similarly in this footer, okay, so since we are transferring three elements, so I am using three ng content in the different areas. See the response now. So all are showing in the footer itself. In this footer only we have given the gray color. So if I'm just commenting this one, so everything is moved into our content section. This content only we not provided any color. So the thing is, if you are providing more than ng content in the same component, so it will defaultly taking the last one. Okay. So in our actual requirement is we need to place those HTML content in the exact place. So then we have to use the select option. So in this ng content, I am using this select option. Okay. So here I can use one class. Okay. Similarly, in the next content, I am using this content, and finally in our footer section, I just given the footer. So next in our parent component, this respective elements, I am including these classes. Okay. See the response now. So in this header, it's showing this welcome to Nihira Techiees. So in this content side, we can see the another tag. So finally in this footer section, we have this powered by NT. Okay. So in this selectors point of view, currently we just used the class. Similarly, we can use the element also. So like H1, right, we are using. So what I'm going to do in our child component side. So instead of this, so currently we used the class. So I have provided this dot. Okay. So if I'm using the elements, then I can just give the H1. So we are getting the same response. So at the same time, if I provide H2, the powered by NT, the same text only. So the powered by NT, the text is showing here. So the reason is from here we are using this H2 tag. The content is projected in this place. That's it. Okay. And the final one is default content. Okay. It's very simple. So in our scenario, So in our scenario, we have a values for these three areas. Okay. So in case if you not received the value for any of the content, if you want to display some default value, then we can use this default ng content option. Okay. It's very simple. Let me tell you. Parent component side, I'm creating a duplicate section. Okay. So anyway, it will act as the reusable component. So in this scenario, I'm just passing this h1 and p tag only. Angular course. So now if you look at the response, the first section up to this, okay, and in the second section we can see this header and this content. So in this footer there is no text. So in this scenario I want to have some default content. Okay, so what I'm doing from our child component itself, so in this footer section I'm providing data available soon. Okay, see now, so if you are transferring some content, the transferred content will be displayed. Otherwise, whatever value you are providing as the default, this will be displayed here. So here also we can use the elements like any HTML element, data available soon. And also don't think this default content is used only for the footer. In our example only I just used like that. But this is the feature of ng content. So in our scenario we are using 3 ng content, right? So we can use all the 3 places. So in this scenario, I'm not passed any of the content. Okay. See the response.
data available soon, data available soon, and the final also here, data available soon. Okay, now we have finished this ng content. Simply it is useful for when we are creating the reusable component, we can make us the more effective by using this ng content. Okay, we can move on to the next topic, zoneless change detection. So this is one of the performance improvement option. So in our Angular application, for doing the change detection, we are using the zone.js. Okay, by using this approach, we are removing this zone.js. At the same time, for managing the change detection, we can use the signals concept. So let me tell you how to do that. If you noted in this angular.json, so in this file fill section, we have this zone.js and zone.js testing. Okay. By enabling this zoneless change detection, first let me stop this one. Okay. And then I just commented these to reference. So let me search some other places. Okay. So we can remove everywhere. Okay. And then in our config section, we have this provide zone change detection. This provider was included. So I am just removed this provider. So instead of that, I am including provide experimental zoneless change detection. Okay. Now let me run this application. So here I am just moving to this home. Okay. So in our home component, already we have this title. Okay. It's next in our constructor side. I'm using this timeout function. Okay. So here I'm just changing this title into okay, I just changed it like this. Okay. So the data will be changed after 1000 milliseconds. Okay. So now if you look at the screen, there is no changes. Okay. At the same time, if I check in the console, okay, see now it's showing us Angular 18 tutorial. After 1000 milliseconds, it's supposed to change into Angular for beginners, but it's not done. Just I am checking in the console. So in this console, we can ignore this error and see the value got changed for the particular variable, but it is not reflected in our UI. The reason we already know because we have removed the zone.js, so that's why it's not reflected. At the same time, as per our requirement, it should be changed in our UI also. Okay. For this scenario, we can use the signal variables. So let me do that now. So here in this title, we have used in many places. So I'm just declaring one more variable. So I'm just duplicated this one, and the name we can give title1. Okay. And it should be a signal variable, and data type is string, and then we can assign the values. So the initial value should be the same, Angular 18 tutorial. Okay. And then we can remove this console, and in this title section, instead of the title, we can use title1. By using this set function, we can assign the new value. Okay. So finally we have to bind this one. So this normal variable we can use like this. Since it is the signal, we have to consider as the function. Okay, title1 function. Okay, the error got resolved. So now I'm just refreshing. So you can see initially in Angular 18, then it is changed into Angular for beginners. Maybe I can increase the timeout duration. See, initially it should be like this. So after some time, it is changed into Angular for beginners. Okay. So this is the way we can handle this zoneless change detection, and we can move on to the next topic, SSR. So SSR stands for server-side rendering. Again, this is a kind of performance improvement option. By enabling this SSR, we can improve the search engine optimization also. So first, let me tell you the concept. Okay, what is SSR? What is the difference between the normal rendering and this server-side rendering? Then we can go for the implementation. Okay. So let me tell you, our normal rendering is client-side rendering. Okay. Whenever request goes to the server, it will require all the files including HTML, JavaScript files, images. Okay. So after that only it should be rendered in our browser. Okay. Since we are using this server-side rendering, the server itself, it will create the pre-rendered HTML view. Okay. So in this scenario, the rendering HTML preparation done through the server itself. So in this browser side, we can expect the response very quickly. Okay. So it's mainly beneficial for if we have the low bandwidth of internet also, we can use our application without any interruption. Okay. So next we can see how to enable server-side rendering in our Angular application. Actually, we have two ways. Okay. So let me tell you. We can open the official site of Angular. So see this document. By using this ng-add Angular SSR command, we can enable this server-side rendering. Okay. So it will create these files like a server.ts file. It will be created, and in this config side, it will include these two new files and some changes in our configuration level itself. Okay. So I'm not going to disturb our existing application. So instead of that, parallelly I'm creating one more new application. Okay. SSR enabled. Okay, that's our application name. Okay, and the CSS same. Do we need to include this SSR and static site generation? Yes, we can give yes. This is actually the step. Okay, but other things are same. Okay, the application is created. Parallelly, I'm opening in this VS Code. Okay, the application is opened. So here additionally we can see this server.ts file. Okay, so it's having some configuration for our server-side rendering. Next in our app.config side, this provider is included, provide client hydration. Okay, and additionally we have this main.server.ts. These all the TS files are configured in our angular.json. See here you can see this SSR and the pre-rendering option is true. So these are the additional changes are included. Anyway, all are comes under the configuration level only. Next, if you are looking for the package, Angular SSR. Okay, this is our packages. So next, let me run this application. Once we run this application, definitely we will see some difference. So our existing application already running in this port of port 200. So then we can run this in the 420, another port. Okay. Next one is 4200 and another one is 4201. Okay. Next, if you looking for the source side, source in this element section, see it's loaded very limited item. After some time only it's loading some other HTML contents. So for better understanding, in our app routing side, I'm just commanding this one. Okay. See in this stage, it's have very limited HTML content, right? At the same time, if you're looking at the SSR enabled, see, so from the initial load itself, we have some content, extra contents up there. And additionally in this bottom, we have see this ng state. Okay. but it's actually a very basic application we just created. That's why we are not seeing much difference. But if you are having any big application, you can feel the difference more. Okay, so now we can move on to the next topic, NgX toaster. So this is the traditional notification already we have implemented in our application, and then NgX mask. So again, this is one of the third-party library. It will give some placeholder. Again, this one also a kind of third-party library. So that provides a simple way to add input mask to our form fields. So we can try now. So let me open the npm site, ngx mask. Okay. The latest version is 18.0. So the first thing is make sure we need to install these packages. This is the common step, okay? Since you are using any of the third-party library, the first thing is we have to install the packages, and then we may have some configuration level changes, okay? So if you just refer to this one, we need to include this provider, provide environmental NGS mask, okay? And if required, we can include some additional configurations like a validation enabled or false. So in our case, we can see some of the basic functionality. That is more than enough. Okay, the installation gets completed. And the next in our app.config side, I am including this ngx mask. Okay, if it is not coming, then we have to include it manually. Provide environment ngx mask. Okay. Okay. So next I'm creating one new component, mask. Okay. So we can map in our routing section. So our mask component is mapped. So in this UI, so look like our application not in the running mode. Next we can go to our component. Here in this TS side, I am including this ngx mask pipe and ngx mask directive. Okay. And then in the HTML side, I'm included one h2 tag, Angular, okay. So now we are able to see this text, and then we can try one by one. First we can do for the numbers. Okay. I'm just adding one label, number, and then one text box. Okay. And including this mask, and provided the value is 0. If you are giving 0, then it will allow only the numerics. Okay. And in this case, I just given the 1 digit. So it will allow only 1 digit. Even though if I'm entering something, it won't allow. So similarly, if I'm trying to enter any characters also, it won't allow. So in case, if you want give n number of digits, then we have to use the star. Okay. Then it will allow only the numbers, but it will allow the n number of digits. Okay. So in between, if you want to show any characters, like so first 4 digit, the next 4 digit. Okay. So if you want to maintain something, then we have to give like this. So in this scenario, if you are entering something, after reaching this 4 digit, defaultly it will enable this hyphen. Okay. So after that, if you are entering something also, it won't allow, because it will allow the only 8 digit. Okay. And then we can try for one of the phone number format. So actually in this mask, it's having one show mask type. Okay. So if you given like this, user also will clearly understand what kind of data it will allow. So initially, see, we are seeing the very blank text box, right? So let me include this. So mask typed. So once I enabled this one, see, the hyphen also coming automatically. It will showing. For this phone number, and one 3 digit, finally one 4 digit. Okay. See this response. Okay. So here this masked type is not enabled. Okay. We can see now. And if you want to give some prefix like a country code, then we can include it here by using this prefix property. See, it's included. Okay. Next we can use the separator. So our mask name is separator. Okay. Okay. And we can remove this prefix. Now if you see here, if I'm entering something, you can see automatically it's included some separator. Okay. So in this area, if you want to give any symbol, then we have to use this symbol. Okay. Now if you are entering some values, see, the comma is included automatically. Okay. The name we can give range, or else we can use as the separator. And we can move on to the next item, and then allow negative numbers. Okay. So currently, if you are entering this minus, it won't allow. So let me include the property allow negative. Okay, it should be allow negative numbers. Okay. So now if I'm trying, the minus also allowed. Okay. So as of now, we just handle the numbers, even though we can use some date format. So next we can see how to use the string values. For the string data in this mask, for the numbers we just used the 0, right? For the string we can use the S. So these properties, then we can remove it. See? So now if you are trying with any integer, it won't allow. But if you give some characters, it will allow. And since I provided just 3 spaces, then it will allow the 3 characters. Okay. And one more way we can handle this one. So instead of adding 3s, you can use like this. And we have to provide how many characters you can include. Again, it will allow 3. So hereafter, if you are entering also, it will block. Okay. And then we can do for the date. Okay. So here the mask is and then year. Okay. So we can enter the today date. So I just given the 30. So let me give 4. Then I can enter like this. Okay. So the same way we can apply for the time also. For the time we have to give like this. Okay. And the final one is hidden mask. The scenario is if you are handling some sensitive information, so then we can use that hidden mask, so that we can apply in this phone number itself. Okay. And just copied and creating one duplicate and removing this prefix. Okay. And I'm just marking these are the hidden area, and the properties hidden input, it should be true. Okay. So now if I'm entering something, it should be capital X. So now if I'm entering something, see all R comes as the star. Okay. After some time only I can see those values. So if I'm giving like this, so instead of the value we are able to see only the star symbol. Okay. So this is the way our hidden input will work.
Okay, we can move on to the next topic. Environmental configuration and deployment in IA server. Okay, first we can start from this environmental configuration. I listed out the steps, we can follow one by one. So before that, let me tell you why this environmental configuration is needed. So as for the standard IT process, we cannot directly deploy our changes into the production server. So before that, we have to deploy in some lower environments for doing the SIT testing. So based on the company standard, we will have a number of lower environments. The naming we can say like test, stage and QA, something like that. Okay. So here the common thing is we are going to deploy the same codes in all environments. The only difference is some key values that may be API URL or emails and some person names. So that key value we can maintain from this environmental configuration, and this can be used when we are making the build. Also, if you want run your application locally based on the environmental configuration, that also possible. So anyway, let me start the implementation, then you will get more idea. Let me execute the command ngGenerate environments. Okay. Okay, we can review the file changes. So it's the new file, and again this one also a new file. And in our angular.json side, so we can see this new section file replacement for this development configuration. So let me open this angular.json file. Okay. Okay, in our configuration side, we have this production option and then development. In this development side, we have a file replacement option. From here, we are replacing this environment.ts file into environment.development.ts file. Okay. So the reason is from our default configuration, it's mentioned as production. So the production will take the default file as environment.ts. Okay. So similarly, we can create some new file also. So before that, we can include one of the property. Okay. API URL. Okay. And the value we can get it from the existing application. Since I'm using the JSON Server API, let me take from our services. We can use this product services. Okay. So here we can see this base URL. The same URL I am just using in our environment section. And then in these services, so instead of just hard coding, I am taking this from our API URL. That's it. Okay. Okay. And one more thumb rule. Whenever we are defining any of the property in our environment section, make sure we have to include in our all the environments. Okay. So if we have a different URL, then we can include. So in our case, we have one URL. Okay, I'm just added, and then we can include one of the common property, display name. Okay. Okay. So the same property I'm including in our default file also. Here I'm just saying it's for production. Okay. So the same way we can include a number of environment file. So let me create one new file. This is for QA. Okay. So we can copy the same one. Okay. And in this display name, I'm just changing this into QA. So the next thing is I'm going to display this variable in our UI side. So in our service side, let me declare one signal variable. Display name. Okay. So next in our component side, we can take this app menu. Here I'm just injecting these services. Because I want to show how our environment configuration is working, so that's why I'm doing these steps. Service. Next in our UI side, I'm just provided some hardcode value and I'm removing everything using the interpolation concept. I'm just binding. Okay. We have to use like this. Okay. First let me run this application and we can verify. I'm just using this normal ngserve command. Okay. Now we can see the response. Okay. See? So it's saying Angular 18 app in development. So now you may have a question. In our Angular side, we can see the default configuration is production, right? But in our case, it is coming as the development. The reason is this configuration is mainly for build. Okay. So when we are making the build, so then it will take default as production. For running from our local, so we are using this serve option. Okay. So in this serve section, we can see the default configuration is development. Okay. So at the same time, you have to run our application with this production configuration. For doing this one, we have to mention the configuration from our ngserve command. So the command is same ngserve, and then we have to include this configuration. Okay. I'm just providing production. Now let me run this one. So initial response is Angular 18 app in development. Okay. After the new build, see, it is changed into Angular 18 app in production. So the same thing is applicable for the QA also. Now if I'm executing this command, it won't work. The reason is I just created one QA file for the environment, but I'm not configured in our angular.json. Okay, so let me do that now. So in our angular.json side, I'm including one more new section, right? Here I'm just mentioning this is for QA. Okay.
And in this replacement section, I am using environment.qa.ts. Okay. So similarly, in this serve area also, we have to specify this QA environment. And in this build target, we have to specify like this QA. So now if I'm executing this command, it will work. Okay. So you know, Angular 18 app in QA. Okay. Okay, this is working fine. So we have completed the basic environmental configuration. Okay. So the next thing is we can move on the IIS deployment. First, let me show you the steps. So the first step is we have to create the build using this ngbuild command. So if you executed the command, it will create the build artifact based on our default configuration. So in case if you want to create the build for any specific environment, then we have to specify the environment name. So like what we did in our NgServ, the same thing we have to follow in our ngbuild also. So next in our IAS side, we have to create one site and then we have to map our build artifact against the created new website. Okay. So we can do the steps one by one using this ngbuild command. Okay. So once our build is completed, it will create one dist folder in our application. So currently in this top side, we can see this Angular and VS Code. Okay. So similarly, it will create one new file dist. So inside the folder, we can get the build artifact. Okay. Okay, the build is completed. See, the new file is there. So inside the browser folder, we can see all the artifact information. Okay. So next in our IAS server, I am doing this deployment in our IAS server. Even though if you are deploying any cloud or some other environment, the steps are same only. Okay. So even though if you are following this continuous integration and continuous deployment also, so whatever things we are doing manually, the same commands all are executed from the pipeline itself. Okay, that is the only difference. The core concept is same only. Okay. So here we can create one new site. The name I'm just providing my app. Okay. And then we have to choose the physical path. Okay, the path also choose. The next thing is port number. So defaultly it's showing us 80. So based on our available port, we can choose anything. So I'm just providing 88. Okay. And then click this OK button. So it will create one new site automatically. So also it will create the application pool. See. So default we can see this .NET CLR version is 4.0. So in our Angular application, we have to choose this into no managed code. Okay. Because it's not handled from the .NET framework. So the next thing is we can copy the build artifact that's available in our dist folder. So let me go to the file location. This is our application path and inside the dist folder we have this browser and third party text. So inside the browser folder we have this complete build artifact. I'm just copied everything and then I'm just navigating to our application path. Here I'm just pasting all those files. Okay. Next from our application side I am just start and I'm refreshing. So again just starting this application. Okay. And then clicking this browse URL. It's navigated and it's saying unauthorized access. So in the particular application, we have implemented the logics like this. So already I know the password. I'm just providing. Okay. Okay. So here we have one problem. Okay. So whenever I am clicking the menu, it's simply navigating. But the thing is, if I'm just refreshing the screen,
it's redirected into the 404 error. Okay, the reason is the URL rewrite not handled from our application. Okay, so since we are deploying in this IAS server, we should handle this URL rewrite. So I'm going to include one webconfig file. So from the webconfig, we can handle the URL rewrite. Okay, so I'm just creating one webconfig file from this notepad itself. We can save this one. Okay, and we can save this as the webconfig. Okay, let's save this one. So here we need to specify the content. I'm having set of codes. I'm just including it here. Okay, so I'm just saving this one. So again from our IAS server side, I'm just stopped. Okay, and then restarted once again. So from here, if I'm refreshing once again, see now it is working. See, the links are working fine. So if I go to the production, I'm in auto production in the product screen. I'm able to see everything. Okay, and see the application title is showing us Angular 18 app in production. Okay, so the same way we can create one more build with another one environment. The command is ng build and then configuration and just providing QA. Okay, okay, there is the error. Let me verify. Okay, it's a small letter. That may be the issue. So let me generate the build once again. Okay, now the build is completed. So the steps are same only. Again, I'm going to the actual folder. So it's generated a lot of files. Okay, so the reason is this configuration point of view. See, the optimization is false and we have given source map as true and extract license false. We have used those properties. That's why. So it's generated more files. So avoiding that, we can just give this output hashing all. Other than that, all the properties we can actually remove. Okay. So let me build once again. Maybe we can remove, okay, the existing generated files. Okay. Okay, again the build is completed. We can verify now. See now it is generated the minimal file only. I'm just copying all those files and then from our IAS side I am just stopped this one and then I'm just replacing. Okay, now I am just refreshing once again. So next again in this browser side, so initially it's showing us Angular 18 app in production. So once I just refreshed, see it is changed into QA. Okay, so now the variable configuration with the build scenario also we have finished. So and I want to convey one more information from the angular.json point of view. Okay, so in this budget section you can see this type is initial and the maximum warning is 2 MB. Similarly in this maximum error is 5 MB. Okay, but the default value is for the warning the value is 512 KB. Similarly for the error is 1 MB. So the idea is whenever our build size is crossed those level, so we will get a warning or error. So mostly the real-time application we can expect the size is more than 1 MB. So that's why I have changed this into 5 MB. Okay. Okay, finally we are in the end of the video. We successfully deployed our application in IIS server. So initially I thought like I can include two real-time application in this video. Due to the lack of time, unable to include in this video. At the same time, I will create the separate video for that, okay? For creating the invoice application using reactive forms form array concept. Once it is done, that video link also I will include in this description. And whatever topic we have covered in this video, I will include all the reference in this video description, including the source code. So still, if you have any doubts or clarification, please post in the comment box, and also don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you. Thanks for watching.